Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm your host, Katie Sawyer. Today we're in pasture ground in Northern Stafford County, owned by Dr. Roger Marshall. We're going to talk to Dr. Marshall and his family about their love of the outdoors, hunting, and the conservation practices they're putting in place on their ground. We're also going to talk to Jason Hildebrand, who owns the cattle that graze this pasture during the summertime, and discuss the relation between the landowner and the cattle owner and how everybody can work together to have a mutually beneficial relationship and enjoy the land. Stay tuned for more. That's My Farm.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer. We're here in Northern Stafford County with the family of Dr. Roger Marshall. Dr. Marshall, tell me a little bit about your family, how you guys ended up in Great Bend, and kind of what brought us out to this part of the world.
Sure, Katie. Thanks for having me today. I think I should introduce my family first of all. This is my wife, Lena, of 33 years. We have a daughter who is not here today. She's back home with the little one. We have our three boys with us, Victor, Matt, and Cal. Cal is in Great Bend High School, a junior. Matt is a junior at K-State, and Victor recently received his MBA. Now, as far as how we ended up back here in Kansas, I grew up in El Dorado, grew up in agriculture, a fifth-generation farmer like many people are today. And after finishing Kansas State University and KU Med Center and 4 years of residency, we wanted to come back home and raise our kids. And when we interviewed in Great Bend, all people talked about was schools and community, those types of things. So we were able to come back here, and within a month or two of being here, some friends owned this piece of land, this 80 acres here, and they invited me to participate in it and become an owner and get to hunt and fish here with them. So it all started with this little 80 acres. Mm-hmm. And then within a couple years, there was another 720 acres for sale around us, and we put our group together and purchased all the pasture land. It's a really unique piece of property. We have 720 contiguous acres of grassland. We have Rattlesnake Creek coming across it, and we're sitting right next to Quivira Wildlife Refuge. It's a 22,000 acre refuge, some of the best, most important wetlands in the entire country for us. So we have the opportunity to participate in the cattle industry with a good friend, and as well as getting all the hunting and fishing opportunities.
Now, you're a busy guy. You deliver babies, you work with moms, you're active in your community. What draws you out here? I mean, because this takes time away from other things, but what's important to you about being out here? When
I get out here, this is where I feel at ease, and I get my best ideas out here, and I just truly love fishing, and I enjoy hunting. I'm not the guy that's going to sit around and relax a whole lot. I'm the person that wants to come burn pasture, and I want to also get rid of some of the plum thickets and get rid of cedar trees, so I just love interacting with the land. And guys, what do you guys enjoy about being out here?
I've had to work out here a lot, so not too much. But definitely, since I've grown up, I've just came out here with friends and caught frogs and snakes, and that's definitely my favorite.
So this is part of your childhood?
Yeah, it's been the same thing for us. It's our getaway. We come out here to do work and get away from, the town life or high school or schoolwork or whatever we need to.
No technology, no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt, do you remember when we took your baseball team on a rafting trip down Rattlesnake Creek?
Oh, yeah, right. That's the first thing I said when we got here today, is I remember rafting down that. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Stay tuned for more. That's My Farm.
Heinen Brothers, a fourth-generation Northeast Kansas farm family, knows how tough farming can be. Farmers helping farmers. Heinen Brothers Ag, selling and servicing crop protection products, fertilizer, anhydrous ammonia, cover crops, quality aerial and ground application. Call today to learn about our extended term financing program, 800-760-4964. HeinenBrothersAg.com.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. A high-energy, drought-tolerant crop, sorghum only requires 6 inches of water to produce the first bushel. And with its wide uses and easy adaptation, sorghum proves to be a truly indispensable crop. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer, here on land owned by Dr. Roger Marshall, but I'm also joined by Jason Hildebrand and his son Ethan. Dr. Marshall, talk to me about your relationship with Jason and how you two work together.
Well, sure. I think we actually got to go back. I met Jason when his wife was pregnant and got to participate in 4 of his baby's delivery. So a long-term relationship with Jason and his wife, Carrie. And when we were blessed to be able to buy this land, I realized I was not very good at delivering cattle. And Jason was well known to us, a great family reputation, so we invited Jason to run cattle on this property.
And Jason, how long have you had your cows out here?
We have been running cattle out here for probably 6 or 8 years now.
Yep.
Okay. And talk to me about the grasses. What do we have here? It's a sandier soil, shorter grasses.
It's a sandier soil. There's a lot of mix out throughout this pasture, which makes it really nice for us on a summer lease. We are here for approximately 5.5 or 6 months, and it works really well for us.
Now, while your cattle take care of the grazing, you're taking care of the land also. Talk to me about some of your land management practices.
Sure. What I love doing is getting out here and working in the nature. So we've enjoyed burning pastures, and it's one of my boys' favorite things to come do. It's one of the chores I don't have any problem getting people to help with, is giving boys matches. Burning pasture, and if you look around, I don't see a cedar tree here anymore. No. Jason, do you?
No, so much better.
I'm so proud. It's been quite an effort. We've mowed them, done all sorts of different things to get rid of them. But getting rid of the cedar trees has been a big issue. And Jason and I have worked together in building new fence, and it seems like it's a constant battle with some of those issues. And then Jason and I have had to work around some of the oil exploration around here as well. And so just a great relationship. And then Jason is kind enough to get the cattle out in time for duck season and work from a nature standpoint as well.
And Jason, we're standing in some great waterways. These are artesian wells, I understand.
Yes.
So you basically never have to run water to your cattle. It's always here. Do you have to do anything to keep these up, or are these pretty much self-maintained?
They're pretty much self-maintained. Just behind us is an artesian well, and even in the driest years when the creek is dry, we still always have water. So that's been a big help for us.
And Dr. Marshall, what have you done to help with the water management around here?
We've built up a couple little extra dikes to kind of, and when it gets really dry, to be able to keep the water back in there. But amazing enough, we've had to do next to nothing to it.
Hey, that's great. That's great for any landowner to be able to say. Please stay tuned for more. That's My Farm.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
Well-designed container flower gardens bring beauty to your home, at your entry, on your patio, or placed in a special spot in your landscape. Let Jackson's help you select the correct plant combinations which will add the color and style you need and that will survive the summer to provide beauty till frost.
Our annual Mix or Match flat clearance is going on now. A flat of 12 4-packs is just $19.99. Similar savings on premium proven winter annuals too.
Support Kansas agriculture education with an AgriTag. AgriTags are available anytime at your county treasurer. They look great on cars and trucks. For more information, go online to ksagclassroom.org.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agaminkansas.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer, and I'm here with the Hildebrands and the Marshalls. These two families work together and both enjoy the land, but they have different interests in it. So, Jason, tell me kind of what your use of the land is.
We run cattle here for 5.5 or 6 months in the summer, and take advantage of the grass and what that provides for the cattle.
But you also have the Marshalls and some of the others who also enjoy the use of the grass. And how does that help you as a cattle owner?
Well, and especially in the summer when we have cattle here, they tend to come out from time to time. And if there's an issue, if there's a problem, they let me know. It's almost like having a whole nother set of eyes watching the cattle for me.
And Dr. Marshall, you and your sons enjoy the land, and you work around the cattle. Talk to me about how you kind of work cattle into your love of outdoors and the hunting and everything else you do here.
Right. Actually, the cattle are very good to help different types of habitat developing. The ducks would prefer to have short grass, and so the cattle help keep some of the things trimmed down around the ponds. So we think it adds to the growing of the quail, the pheasant populations as well. So it's a win-win situation for both of us.
Now, Jason, you lease pasture from Dr. Marshall. So talk to me about your cattle and kind of your operation in general.
We run a commercial cow herd, around 300 or so cows that I'm responsible for. We also have a diversified farming operation with corn and wheat and milo and alfalfa, soybeans, a little bit of everything. And that's what we have done for years. I'm a fifth-generation farmer, okay. And we're very close to the area where my father and grandfather had their farm.
Now, as you've probably tried to grow your operation, you've probably had to look for grasses around the area. Talk to me kind of how you run your cow herd, since you do have to probably work with several landlords.
We are spread across quite a few miles. We actually have some cattle that we send to the Flint Hills for the summer that are taken care of on a contract basis there. The rest are here within probably 20 or 25 miles that we care for through the summer. Some is owned grass, but quite a bit of it is leased ground, just as this is.
And how does your cropland interact with your cattle? I know you guys do some unique things of not having to confine feed, but you instead use your crop ground to feed the cattle.
A fair amount of the crop ground that we actually farm is poor or marginal at best, and we will use that exclusively, for cattle. And even some of the other ground, that some of the quote-unquote better ground, will have cattle on it for a portion of the year, grazing milo or corn stalks, taking advantage of that.
And Ethan, you are one of 5, so talk to me about how you're involved in the family operation.
Yeah, I help with harvest some.
Okay.
Build fence, pull a lot of rye.
Dad knows how to keep children entertained. And talk to me about kind of the opportunity to be able to graze the cattle in this area. This is great grass. You know, kind of how unique are these opportunities?
They can be very unique. This is a rather large piece of grass for what we have in this area, and that makes it really nice. It's much more efficient for us because we have 100 pair here as opposed to having 20 there and 30 in another place. And so that works well for us. Another thing we look at when we look at a piece of grass is what are the fences like? What's the water situation? You know, we have live water here. There's a creek running through. In the drought, it did go dry, but there are artesian wells on this property, so we have water. The fences are in great shape and have been well maintained.
Thank you. And stay tuned for more. That's My Farm.
healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484. Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer here with Dr. Marshall. We're standing in some of his pasture ground in Stafford County, and behind us is Rattlesnake Creek. Great creek, but we have problems. Tell me about what you're trying to do to improve the flow and the water content of this creek.
Right. Katie, this Rattlesnake River feeds Quivira Refuge, so it's the main water source for all of Quivira Refuge. And as you kind of look behind us, you see all these salt cedars. These salt cedars are not native to Kansas. Each one of these salt cedars drinks about 200 or 300 gallons per day. So if you could imagine from here all the way to the source of this river, and it's also true for the Arkansas River, that we're losing millions of gallons each day to an invasive species that shouldn't be here. So our next big project is going to be trying to get rid of these salt cedars on Rattlesnake Creek.
Now you have proposed kind of taking a chunk of your land and kind of using a pilot project. So what are you envisioning, or kind of what are your plans to kind of start moving these out?
Right, so this creek literally flows right into the refuge. The refuge is a mile away from us, and this creek winds in and out there. So we're working with the local Quivira Refuge officials and other wildlife experts. Basically, it's going to be very man-intensive, very labor-intensive, basically using chainsaws and axes to get rid of them. There's really no other way to do it.
Now, this comes at a time when the state and the governor himself are talking about a water plan, you know, conserving and reusing our resources. So how do you think these efforts will fall in line with some of those visions?
Yeah, right now, Quivira has a water right that takes precedent over a lot of the farmers' rights. And they're considering taking water away from the farmers. So I'm hoping that by getting rid of these salt cedars, we'll have more waters left for the farmers as well as the refuge, trying to get both sides to figure this out. But these salt cedars aren't of any practical use to us, so we need to get rid of them and hopefully give more water for the farmers.
Sounds like you're doing great things. Stay tuned for more. That's My Farm.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
We started farming in 1970. It was harder work then than it is now, a lot more physical work and the wear and tear on my knees and my body. Now here I'm 70 years old. I started having knee pain here 4 or 5 years ago, and so I was looking for a stem cell clinic, and lo and behold, my good friend John Farley and Ken Wood, who'd been customers and friends for a number of years, opened their clinic, and in about 2 months my heel was a lot better, and then at the end of 3 months and then going on 4, why my knee started making significant improvement, and it's sure been a blessing because Before I had the stem cells, well, I'd be driving a tractor, and if I sat in a tractor for 2 or 3 hours, when I got out, I'd have to stop and get the kinks out of my knee and shake it. And today, that's not a problem.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tall Grass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer here on the ranch of the Roger Marshall family. Now, Dr. Marshall, on top of being a doctor and being an avid outdoorsman, you've decided to take on another hat and run for Congress for the 1st District here in Kansas. Talk to me a little bit about that decision, what led you to that, and family members, talk to me about what this means for you as a family, because this is a group decision, I'm sure.
Absolutely, Katie. So my wife and I have raised 4 kids through the public school system of Great Bend, and Cal's our last pup. He's a junior this year. But probably the biggest momentum was we had our first grandson about 1.5 years ago. And I think when you have your first child or your first grandchild, you stop and kind of look over life and say, well, what are we going to do with the rest of our lives? And I was very concerned, Lane and I are both very concerned that we're not leaving this country better than we found it. Whether it's national security or the economy or healthcare, I think our country's going in the wrong direction. And we had so many people asking me to run, and for the first couple years, Lena kept saying no. But finally, when the grandchild was born, she said, oh my gosh, it's time. You need to go do this.
So what does this mean for you guys? I've seen you on the campaign trail before. You're not tied down with school anymore. So where do you guys fit in this process?
Well, absolutely, it's a family affair, and everybody's got a role to play. The more that we put into it, the better we can do to support my dad, and he's done a great job supporting us in all of our things through life. I think I owe more than I could ever give back to him, so I help out any way I can, whether that's in driving or communications or organizing events.
Dr. Marshall, how does your understanding and your experiences with both rural life, the agricultural world, your experience with hunting and outdoors, how does that play in to your candidacy and to what you hope to bring to the 1st District?
Right. The most important issue people want to talk to me in Kansas is they'd like to have representation back on the Ag Committee. I grew up in agriculture, a 5th-generation farmer. We're still very much invested in agriculture, whether it's feeding cattle or part of an agriculture bank, managing land. So I think that I bring a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge back to the House Ag Committee from Kansas again, and unfortunately we've been lacking that representation for 3 years. And more than that, when we're on the campaign trail, people want to talk about national security, health care, and jobs. I've had 7 years of military experience. I've been a physician. I've helped run a hospital. I think all my diverse background is going to help solve the biggest problems that people are concerned about. But the number one concern from Kansas right now is agriculture, that we don't have representation. We don't have a voice at the table anymore. And I think all my experience in agriculture will bring in firsthand experiences, whether it's talking about the prairie chicken. I grew up hunting prairie chicken. I think I can explain to people that prairie chickens don't fly into high lines. They don't fly into oil derricks. And the problem with the prairie chicken has been the drought. And sure enough, it's rained, and when the population's increased 50%. I can talk about waters of the U.S. My grandfathers built terraces. I remember as a young child the terraces being built, and now the government wants to regulate the runoff from those. So we're punishing my grandfathers for being good farmers. Someone with some common sense needs to go back to Washington and be able to sit down with a person that's never been to a farm and say, wait a second. The farmers are not the problem with prairie chicken. The farmers are not problems with water. No one loves this environment more than we do. My love for hunting, for fishing, and for agriculture, that's what it's all about. I want to leave it better than I found it. I want my children to be able to manage this land as well. This is their inheritance that we're looking at right now.
Lena, you guys have been on the campaign trail for about a year now. Talk to me about the experience so far. What are you hearing from people?
I think everyone's very supportive and very welcoming wherever we go across the state. And I've loved meeting the people across the state. And I think that's been my favorite part is just meeting all the new faces and being welcomed. Everyone's just been very kind, and I don't have enough adjectives to describe what a great experience it has been to meet everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Marshall and family members, for taking time out of your day to show around your farm and to explain your love of all things nature in the 1st District. I enjoyed spending time with you guys today. And everybody, please join us again next Friday for more That's My Farm.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.